fellow colorist, and welcome to this hair tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how I color hair with just pencil and also with markers and pencils, and you will see a huge difference on these two methods. I've chosen the unconventional hair color purple. As many of you might have seen, I do love coloring the hair purple or pink. Again, I've used mainly Faber-Castell Polychromos pencils, and you can see the colours I've used on the left-hand side of the screen. And with that, I think we'll just dive in. So today I've started the video in real time, just so you can see how it looks when I colour. So this is quite a bit slower than what you'll see later on and what you saw in the last video. As I'm doing this on white paper, I will start by adding the darker shades. So all the places where I know it will be dark, I will add the darkest colour. Also, I just want to thank you guys for all the feedback you've given me. I've taken it all into account, and I will try to adjust a few things for the future. Like, for example, I will try to have it a bit closer up so you can see a bit better. But this video will be a bit similar to the first one, where you see it's not that close up, and sadly, as you will see now and later, that I don't realise that I'm colouring off screen. It's only in small parts, and I will explain what I'm doing, but just be aware that this is happening, and I am sorry for that. As you can see in real time, this is really taking forever, so I think it's time to speed it up. So I got a few comments after the last video why I didn't do the eyebrows, and the reason for that is that I hadn't decided at that time what colour I was going to do the hair, and I wanted to have the eyebrows in the same colour as the hair. So as you can see, I've started them now. And the way I do it is I just use the pencil and I try to do like strokes to try to kind of get the individual hair. Obviously these eyebrows are very small, so it's not gonna work the best way, but I have them, you know, a little bit lighter at the top. Okay, so back to the hair. So after I've laid down the darkest shade, I go over with a slightly lighter shade, the crimson, and after that I go over with the lightest one, which is the light magenta, and try to blend it in. And here I'm all over the place and off screen and whatnot. I also got some questions about how much pressure I add to the pencil when I draw. And that kind of depends on what I'm doing and the paper, but I would say, for example, for the skin on this one I would use light to medium pressure, and the reason for that is because this is a smooth paper, you can't really add too many layers, and if you add too much pressure it will become waxy quite quickly and you won't be able to add much more. For the hair, on this one, I am adding quite hard or strong pressure to the pencil, and even with that I'm not happy with how vibrant the colour is. It's not getting as strong as I want. Okay, so I'm trying now to put even more pressure to the pencil to get it even darker. I'm still not entirely happy with the colour. I'm using also the eraser quite a bit to try and emphasize the highlights better. So I've added at the bottom now the name of the eraser that I'm using. It has quite a pointed tip and it's quite good to use for small areas or to try to get hair strokes or other things. I use it a lot and it's really good. I also have an electrical one which is slightly bigger, and if it's a bigger space that I need to erase, that one is good to use. So I moved on to using the black pencil now to try to get the darkest places even darker, but I think it made the hair look more grey, but I really was struggling a lot. It's like it didn't matter how much pressure I added and how rough I was with my pencil, the hair still looks quite bland, I think, in the colour. I just have to apologise if you hear a bit of sniffling here and there, and also it sounds like I have a potato stuck in my throat, but I just have a cold, and I've been waiting now for too long to do the recording on this video, and I thought I just have to do it today because this next week is going to be quite busy. So I hope you'll survive. I do think that if I had used another type of paper, one with medium surface instead of smooth, the colours would have turned out better, and it would also have been easier to add many layers, because I think this is the problem that I'm having at this point, is that I can't really add much more colour on top of it, and I couldn't add white either, it didn't do anything. So I will remember that in the future, and I don't think I will use smooth surfaced paper again. I've had some questions to what kind of pencil sharpener I'm using, and as I can't pronounce it, I'll just add it on the screen below now. This one is quite new, I just quite recently bought it, but it's really good, and it fits all pencils. For example, the Luminance pencil, they are slightly thicker and they won't fit in a normal pencil sharpener, but fits perfectly in this one. I haven't tried this on the Prismas yet, and I don't know, because it does make the pencils very sharp, and the lead in the Prisma tend to break rather easily if you get it too pointy. But at least for Polychromos and Luminance, this is a great pencil sharpener. So we're now approaching the end of what I will say is kind of like a fail hair attempt. But I hope you understand the principles, and I do think that on another paper this way of doing it would work absolutely fine. And as you'll see in a second when we do it with the markers first, it's totally different. You can add white on top of the markers with a white pencil to get the highlights, and it works. I'm sure many of you have the Hanna Karlsson books, and just to compare, so the paper in those books is great quality paper, but it's also smooth paper. And I find that I have similar problems in that book that I do have on this paper here, that I can't really add many layers before it just stops. It won't take much more colour, and that is one of the reasons why I always choose to scan it and print it out on a different paper, just to give me much more flexibility. So I don't really think there's much more I can do to the hair now here. So I think we'll just move on to the markers and pencil part. So this, I think, is going to work much better. Okay, so now I've started with the markers. I haven't added the names of the and the colors of the markers. The reason for this is that I'm using 4 different markers, 5 different shades of purple, and I think that it's very unlikely that anyone would have those exact markers, but it doesn't really matter. Just if you have a few different shades of one colour, that's enough. I've used 5, but it's not necessary. I mean, you could use 3 or even 2 and just supplement it with pencil. So I started with using the lightest purple marker on the entire hair on the right side. Then I go over with a slightly darker and then even darker. But here I added one that you can see is more pink than purple. And because of that, I have to do a bit of fixing up and go over with the same type of markers that I have already used, just to try to get the transitions a bit smoother. You see here. I will then go over with the darkest shade of purple I have. As you can see, this is going much quicker than doing this with a pencil. because using markers is so much faster than just using pencil, this is what I always do when I colour hair. Just the convenience, making it so much easier, and then you'll have much more time to do other things. Okay, so now I'm done with the markers and I've continued on to using the pencils. And I've slowed this down to real time just so you can see how I do it. I just use the white pencil on the highlighted areas, and I just cover, because there are some black lines underneath, and I try to just cover them as best that I can. So on this smooth paper, white pencil on top of pencil does not really work, but white pencil on top of markers does work. Again, I just want to say that I am sorry that sometimes I am colouring outside the camera, like at the bottom of the page. And yeah, I really will pay more attention in the future so this doesn't happen. Okay, so I sped it up now, but I'm continuing to going over the highlighted area with a white pencil to get it lighter than it was. You can probably see that the skin is looking a bit paler on this than on the last one. And I think there's two reasons for that. Obviously the lighting is one, and then I think that because I'm not using like a paper to cover the face, I just, you know, keep smudging with my hand, and it kind of takes a bit of colour off. So I've moved on now from the white pencil to the different purple coloured pencils. I'm using the same pencils that I used for the left side of the hair. And I'm trying to now create more like individual hair strands. Won't be individual per se, but at least adds some more structure to it. I think you can see already that the colour on the right side is much more vibrant than the colour on the left side. And this is all thanks to the markers. So I was initially just planning to do a 3-part tutorial on this one. The first one for the face, and now the second one for the hair, and then a third one for the neck, chest and hand. I don't know if you want me to do one for the flowers and the clothing and maybe the frame. I could certainly try, but I don't know if I will be any good at it. Just let me know what you want me to do. Also, if there is a particular image that you would like me to do as my next tutorial, you could let me know in the comments, or you could go to my Facebook page, which I will add the address to both in the description but also at the end of this video. You can let me know there, either write a post or just send me a private message. And of course, if there's certain parts of the face, let's say nose or eyes or anything in particular you want me to show you, then just let me know and I can try to have parts of it in real time, just so that it will be a little bit easier to grasp what I'm doing. So I haven't really been explaining that much about what I'm doing here, but I am doing really exactly the same thing as I did on the left hand side. Yeah, and here I'm adding some marker to the eyebrows as well. Basically, I'm just going over the hair with the different shades of pencils, trying to get more like individual strands, and also letting like the darker part kind of go into the lighter ones, if that makes sense. Yeah, and then I just decided to just slow it down again here at the end, just so you can see. I'm just now kind of touching up with the white, adding a bit more texture to the hair. Again, just give me feedback on anything in regard to this video. As I said, for the next one I will make sure that it's recorded a bit closer so that you can see the details a bit better. But if there's anything else that you think I should focus on or explain better, just let me know and I will try that. Thank you so much for watching.